Well, everything up to a point. Anything short of anything that would compromise the safety of you and your family. But I also don't think, if there's one thing that we shouldn't tolerate, though, is our schools. Anything that has anything to do with children, we should not tolerate the indoctrination of children. And if there's anything that I was going to pick a fight from the great war that's going on, and it is a war, from the great war that's going on, it's our children. Because like most people, I was raised to think that God was real. I was raised to think that if I pray to this God, he'll give me anything that I wanted to. I didn't have to do any work. I just like, you know what? I'm on my couch, I'm eating Cheetos. God, can you give me a job? Little did I know I had to actually go out and fill out applications, as opposed to, just praying to some invisible man. Anything short of our children, we should be okay with. Happy debate, passionate debate, angry debate, as long as it's debate, not argument. Even though it's kind of the same thing. We're arguing semantics at that point. Hopefully I answered your question. Yes? Okay. What else we got? Somebody else raised their hand. Somebody back there.
I did.
Come on.
You're a young man, and you seem to have gone through a lot in your life. And your life seems to have evolved quite a bit, from being a fundamentalist Christian to a half agnostic, full-time agnostic.
Gotta love those agnostics.
Now an atheist. And I wonder if you see a time in the future when you may even go back to where you came from, in the sense of being a fundamentalist Christian again.
If someone offers me evidence available to the five senses that there is a invisible man in the sky, I'll consider it. But then they have to show me why the other invisible men don't exist. I would never go back. I couldn't. I'd be lying to myself. And if there is a God, then he made me this way. And he has to be the most counterproductive being that ever existed. I mean, I'm sorry. I could never go back. I don't see how anybody could. It's like the Wizard of Oz. When Dorothy comes out the house and it's all, that ugly, not the like black and white, the good black and white that you get in like the late 50s. I'm talking, this is the ugly black and white of like the 40s and the 30s of whatever that was. When she steps out and everything is in like Technicolor. For me, this is like the ugly black and white stepping out to like 1080i, 1080p high definition. I could never see the other way again.
Never say never.
I could say never in this point because I know that God is logically impossible.
What if your brain turned to spaghetti?
Yes.
Then I probably wouldn't be able to process the information anyway. I would probably be sitting, being fed through a straw or something like that, and it really wouldn't matter to me. My main goals would probably be not urinating on myself. I probably have bigger problems to worry about at that point. But you're right. I try not to speak in absolutes. But that itself is a paradox, because there are certain absolutes that will remain absolutes. For instance, when someone says there are no absolutes, you just spoke absolutely about there not being absolutes. It is a paradox. We live in a universe of paradox, where at the singularity of the Big Bang, the laws of physics seem to break down. But yet we have what is seemingly perfectly constructed physical laws to allow for our form of life. It is a paradox. Can I say that I'll never go back? Yeah, because I know I'll never go back. But if I was to go back to theism, I think I was talking about this today. You know which religion I would adopt? The gray religion, and I learned this from Star Trek, I didn't know. The Norse pantheon. Anybody ever heard of the Norse, the Vikings, and what they believed? These guys were great. Let me tell you what the entire Klingon species in Star Trek was stolen from the Norse. Basically, these guys are like warriors. Everything revolves around honor and integrity and great big broadswords that you see in Braveheart. And these guys will like literally plan for what is called Ragnarok, which is their version of Revelation or Apocalypse. Basically, when they die, they go to Valhalla, the Hall of the Slain, where they pretty much prepare for battle, they sing songs, they drink, they have sex, and it pretty much goes on like this for eternity. That sounds a lot better than the heaven I was ever taught. So I know if I was to go back to any type of theism, that would be it. Because if I ever wanted to go to any type of heaven, that would be it. So you're right, never say never, but
There are famous atheists that have reverted.
there has been famous creationists that has deconverted. Works both ways.
I'm as committed to my atheism as you are. And then, as far as that goes, I was brought up a fundamentalist, and I think that religion should be screened in a mental institution, but things happen.
What could happen? I mean, that's a rhetorical question. What could happen to me that would make me forget everything that I've learned? We know hypnosis is BS, so that's not going to happen.
But you're
What?
thinking logically.
Huh?
You're thinking logically.
Absolutely.
But the question isn't logical. Faith is not logical.
So how could I ever consider something like faith in the logical state of mind that I'm in if it isn't logical? Why would I ever entertain that idea?
People do things based not on logic all the time.
So what would be my motivation?
A miracle.
A perceived miracle.
How do you define a miracle?
A perceived miracle. I mean, it could be to you what is a miracle is maybe not the same as it is to me. But can I ask a question? I want to get back to what you said, that being in a gang is not wrong. And it's interesting that you use the terminology wrong, morality, which is very much a part of religion. And I'm just wondering, in terms of how you see yourself as an atheist and how you define right and wrong, if you could extrapolate on that.
Let me talk a little bit about my gang life.
Could you repeat the question?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. Basically, she said when I was talking about when I had said that being in a gang wasn't wrong. She said it was interesting that I used the terminology wrong. How do I define my morals, basically, right and wrong as an atheist? Wasn't that kind of it? I'm sorry if I butchered kind of what you said. You said it so eloquently. I just wanted to follow in your footsteps. No, let me tell you a little bit about my gang history. Like religion, I didn't join my gang really by choice. I grew up in an area that was a gang area. All of my friends were gang members. All of my friends, I'm not even going to say that. All of my friends had older brothers, cousins, uncles, daddies, mamas, sisters, whatever, that were involved in gangs. These were simply my friends. I didn't know about Trag New Park when I was growing up. I just knew that all my friends lived in the same area I lived in, and we all did everything together. So when my friends used to get into it, and kids fight kids from other neighborhoods all the time, whether it happens in Wyoming or New York or California, it happens all the time. There's always rivalries and sects that evolve. That's just kind of the way we are as human beings. So when my friends used to get into stuff, fights or whatever, we used to go down to like the skating rink or something like that, and a group of my friends would get into it with a group of some other guys. Those are my friends. Homies or not, those are my friends. So if they're getting jumped or something like that, me at that time, I would jump in. No question asked. Those are my dudes. It evolves, of course, into affiliation. Anybody who says that they choose to be in a gang, anybody who chooses to be in a gang should be committed. Because most people who are gang members don't choose gang life. It simply chooses them. Now you have the option to walk away. Most people do. But just because you walk away doesn't mean you're out. Me is who I am today. Could never go back to Compton right now and say, hey, guess what? I could go into some neighborhood like, 135th and Pyro. West Side Pyro, one of the biggest blood gangs in Compton. Hey, by the way, my name is Eddie Collins. They used to call me Little Maniac. And I used to be a Crip. I guarantee you will see me on the news the next day. They do not care. What I do now has